Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bonnie's 2025 Winter Series. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to be back together again. Let us know in the chat if you are joining us for the first time or if you have participated in any of Bonnie's past online series. It does take a team to make Bonnie's online classes happen. We're going to introduce you to everyone who's here for you today. My name is Basha. I am the project manager for Bonnie's books, videos, and events. I'm also Bonnie's daughter. We have Bonnie. Do we see Bonnie on the screen? There we go. And Len. And Len is Bonnie's husband. He's also the administrative director for all of Bonnie's things. We also have Isa. Okay, it looks like we have a little technical issue here. Isa is the administrator for all of Bonnie's endeavors. And he is also the one who, if you're emailing with, he's the one on the other side of those emails. And he's also Bonnie and Len's son, my brother. And we also have Christian here today.
Hello, I'm Christian, and I will be helping with any technical issues during the session for today. So glad to be here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. In addition to hosting this class on Zoom, we are simultaneously broadcasting it on YouTube Live. If you experience any issues in Zoom, please go to the class on YouTube Live. If you haven't already done so, please introduce yourselves in the chat. We would love to know who's here and why you joined the class, where you're joining us from. We do open each class a little early so that we can virtually mingle in the chats together. If you're able to, please join us for this pre-class time together. If you have questions for Bonnie and are joining the class in Zoom, please type those questions into the Q&A so that we can easily access them and they don't get lost in the chat. In YouTube, please type your questions for Bonnie in the chat there. If there is time, Bonnie will respond to some of those questions at the end of class. If you're in Zoom, we also highly recommend that you post your questions for Bonnie in the chat as well, because there are a lot of people who may be able to respond from their experience, in addition to Bonnie sharing her experience. We do have some guidelines for our chat and community. Please take a moment to read through them on our 2025 Winter Series resources page if you haven't already. Our chats are a social place for public discussion of the material Bonnie presents. Please treat the discussions with the same respect you would as if you are having them face to face. The chat and other spaces related to the series are community resources. The chat is a space for sharing your experiences, thoughts, and questions about the material Bonnie presents. Thank you for respecting and following our community guidelines and collectively keeping this a safe space for everyone. We do encourage you to communicate respectfully with Bonnie and through each other and with each other in the chat. We aren't able to be together in person, so the chat is a wonderful way to connect with each other if you want to. And reading the full chats, your questions, comments, and experiences after the class is over brings Bonnie a lot of joy. It helps her to feel connected to you and your experience, as well as to better prepare for the next classes. So please keep sharing if you would like to in the chats. And we will add the chat for each class to your account as a downloadable document when the recording for each class is ready. We want to acknowledge all of you, everyone who has joined this series. You have registered from 66 countries, spanning 6 continents. And as in each of these past online series, it's amazing to be connected with each other in this way and in this extraordinary circle around the earth. Our Pay from the Heart Scholarship has allowed more than 1,000 people to register for this course. We put a map together to visually see what 66 countries look like. Christian, could you please put the map on the screen? Thank you. So here we are in our 66 countries. Feel how we're all here together in this moment, in this extraordinary circle around the earth. And share in the chat which of these 66 countries you're from. I see somebody typed in they're from a country that we did not color in. So now we have 67 countries, and I will add that after class. Wonderful. Watching all of these countries come in the chat. Thank you so much, Christian. You can take the map down, and we will show this map again in class 12, the last class of the series. We do have people joining us throughout the series. Please share with your communities that the registration is still open and we are still accepting Pay from the Heart Scholarship applications. And that's it for the opening. Here's Bonnie. Enjoy class.
I'm so moved. Welcome. And thank you for welcoming me and all of us into each of our own homes or places where we are now. My arms get lighter and lighter each time we join. They go up by themselves. It's so easy to forget that we are one, but not in the circle. Thank you. Come on, hands, come together. Around class 10, we'll come to the carotid bodies. They support silence. From which our words come. And tears, perhaps from where smiles originate. I have to get a tissue, excuse me. I would like to share a little bit, especially there are new people. I hope you'll enjoy and find meaning for yourself, as well as each of us who have been together, some for more than 50 years, and many from the beginning of the pandemic. To absorb that we are together. I first offered the endocrine glands in a workshop in November of 1976. So next year, it will be 50 years. And it's always dynamically evolving. It evolves through experience. I'm sorry, my voice today is gravelly. So what I'm sharing is a process that comes out of embodying, not by myself, but with many others, each person offering their own experience. And so as you offer your experience, which I hope you will do, this milieu, this environment of the endocrine glands, when I say changes, it changes. So what I share and what is written, you'll have a lot of written, I'll say pages, but they're on the, only if you download them. It's not the truth. It's not this big static fact. It's a process of enlivening ourselves individually and together. So you may have a totally different experience. Neither of us is right or wrong. Know your own knowing. That's your truth. It doesn't annihilate someone else's. That's their truth. And together we share and widen our understanding from ourselves. I have included in this umbrella of endocrine glands other bodies. And I've included them because they have secretions and might be called neurons, or might be called immune cells, or might be called something else. But they have a vibration that reflects through our central channel and our spine, which from this perspective are not the same. It's like our body and our mind, our spirit, our soul, our emotional, the invisible in the body, but not the body, but reflected in the body, are not the same. or the egg and the sperm are separate, but they come together and become one. So within this practice, we are exploring the relationship between our consciousness and our physical body and processes, to align them as they change into dialogue, but they're not the same. When we die, our body returns to the earth. Our mind, our spirit, our emotions, our freedom, the one that lives in the body, is free. We don't know, maybe you know, I don't know what that means. Only that they are separate and they are together. So in this practice, I will be offering for most everyone here, maybe me also, more than can be absorbed in this hour and a half. If you attempt to get everything, you get a overload, maybe depression, headache, brain fog. Just allow to come in what comes in easily. What is this place now for you? And I'm going to be bringing back many of the processes and structures from before, because it's all within our body, but within different relationships, a different dance. And hopefully, some of you who, those of you who missed something, it comes back in another way. You didn't miss it. It just wasn't for you at the time. So our attempt is to, before each class, to send you about 2 documents. One on the gland or body that we're exploring in that next class. Something about embryology that relates to that gland or body. And then after the class, you'll get tons of others. Excuse me, for those of you who want to go further, who want to go deeper into what it is that I'm sharing through reading and through that reading practice. And those of you who already had enough, leave them. You have them for as long as the internet survives, which I suspect will be through your lifetime. No rush. And the last thing is, for example, if I have written, and we're looking at pancreas, that's a gland, a recognized gland by the medical scientific field. If it says coccygeal body, that's a structure that the anatomists have found, but have not, to my knowing, found the secretion. But it's surrounded by a capillary bed, which indicates secretions. So if it's a body, it says body. If it doesn't say body, then it's a gland. And when we started this practice in '76, and there are people here in this series who were there in that practice, that workshop. The thymus was not considered, it was not considered active, only in up to 2 years. The pineal was considered a pineal body. It starts with the M. Melatonin had not been discovered. Anyway, there might be others. The heart, when I get to the different ones, I'll explain more detail. But the vibration is what has indicated that it's included in this practice. I'm going to start with a little bit of basic embryology for those of you who are new, and a review for those who have been here before. But most of the information will be in the resources Basha will put into your account at the end of class. So I'm going to start out with, I have to get the props. I grew up without the internet, and I unfortunately can't use it because of my electromagnetic sensitivity. But I'm still using 3-dimensional rather than PowerPoint. All right. So in our embryology, at some point, we have an egg and a sperm, and we create a ball of cells. That ball of cells flattens into 2 layers, the endoderm and the ectoderm, which, because they're both E words, I can get confused with the languaging. Maybe you have a similar issue, maybe not. I say front body, back body. I'm going to take off. I'm warm again. It's kind of cold and rainy here today. So front body, back body. So I'm only going to give a few minutes for this, but you have the rest of your life to feel your front body and your back body. So the back isn't pushing forward, the front's not pushing back, the sides aren't pushing in. Just this is the front body and the back body, so I can speak to you from my front body. Or from my back body. I can go back and forth. Play with that. It's a lifelong practice. Then this would be your front body and your back body. I'm speaking, so it's mine. So cells from the front body and the back body come up through the space in the middle, and they create the middle body, the mesoderm. You will see in the slides when it's indicated, these 3 colors, the basic colors. Front body is yellow, and the tissues and organs that arise from the front body will be yellow. Those from the back will be blue. I got the back and blue together with black. And the red for the mesoderm, the middle body. That was a clue for me back in the 90s of how to embody embryology, the embodiment of space, because the structures have changed. but the space remains. All right. The front body gives rise to the digestive and respiratory organs, our nourishment. And the back body gives rise to the nervous system and the outer layer of skin. Again, there's information more if you like. The middle body is most of the structures of the body, skeletal, muscular, blood itself, the vessels, heart, kidneys, urogenital, the gonads, sex organs, more of that in the literature. So now just looking at the middle body, and I should say that if you read the embryology, it will, the official embryology, which they have learned and are teaching us through a lot of tragedy, actually, when an embryo or fetus doesn't survive. That's sad for there's a sadness there for the people who wish them to be born. But they have given us this information. Thank you. Then in the middle, then in the literature, embryology literature, it says that the middle body arises from the back body. But in the embodiment process, I could not find it until I added the front body. So what I'm saying is not the same as the traditional literature. You can explore both, see what you find. So in the middle body, there is something called the primitive streak. You will see that in the literature and the many colored slides at the end of class. It begins at what now is the perineal body. So I'm actually going to ask Christian, I'm out of order. I gave you Basha gave you 4 slides. If you would go to the 4th slide and show that, please. It will show the pelvic diaphragm, and the floor of the pelvic diaphragm will be the perineal body, which is our focus today. So Christian, if you could show that, please. Thank you. So here, I'll read this because we were looking at that also. The pelvic diaphragm, I can't read it because Sarah, you could move the chat for the moment. Thank you. The pelvic diaphragm is composed of 4 quadrants with the perineal body situated in its center. This organization creates a dynamic base of support for movement between the lower limbs and the spine. All right, so the perineal body is the red dot in the middle. And again, this will be available to you forever. It's not exactly in the middle. You have to find it within your own consciousness, but it's an energy center. All right, you can come back to me, please. I didn't, usually I have another paper slide, but I didn't have it this time, which, anyway. So, and the perineal body is in the center of your perineum. It's an energy center from which this whole middle body arose. That's in the literature, that it arises from the primitive streak, which is going to be the beginning of the central axis, begins at the perineal body. And the primitive streak grows up a ways to what's called the primitive node, N-O-D-E. And out of that grows the notochord. And the notochord grows up between the 2 layers, exactly in the middle, when we were only composed of 2 layers. we were flat. So right in the very center, not in the spine, the vertebrae are red and the nervous system is blue in terms of the vertebral column and the spinal cord and brain in the skull. So we're actually in the middle. Is this notochord, and the notochord grows upward between these two layers up into the pituitary. And you have a reference picture of that in your resources. And it's as it grows up to the pituitary in the middle, the primitive node and primitive streak draw back to the source, the origin, where they came from. So I'm going to move this for a minute, a moment. From the center of the perineum, you can do this with me if you choose. There's a coming upward. That's the primitive streak to the primitive node. Cells are coming from the front. I'm going to disappear in a minute. My head will disappear. From the front and the back, cells are coming in and growing upward, but from the node, the notochord is growing upward from above. I have to move back. So from here, the cells are coming from the front and back, but then they're growing above to here as these withdraw back to the place of origin. So this is the space in the very center, which we could call, I call, the central channel. It's empty today, only energy. I just saw Vita, is there a relationship between the central channel and the node and the dantian? I feel there is. It's for you to feel if it is also. Within ancient traditions, they were evolved from experience. And the embryological experience, when we experience, re-experience, remember, it clarifies a lot of what is there in the ancient wisdom. Not the truth. Find your own. All right, I think I've said that. Oh, I wanted to say one more thing. Is probably many more things. This is the central channel. It's important to have space between. I didn't tell you what it is. There's the central channel, the notochord, and then there are these two lateral sheaths, and they will divide into columns, 3 columns on each side, and we'll look at that as we go along. But this we can take out to show that it's now space. And it's that space that we're exploring. I have here 2 different toys. This, for me, representing the notochord, which in the literature I read has the consistency of a firm grape. And so it's not segmented. It is fluid. And then the columns on the side of the notochord, the three columns, the first column is called paraxial, next to the axis. Then there's the intermediate column, and then there's the lateral column. And we'll see that the arms and the legs, the face below the eyes, and the vocal structure comes from the lateral columns, the periphery. And the intermediate column are the kidneys, the gonads, and the cortex of the adrenals. And the paraxial go around the notochord and the neural tube, which would be blue, and they form the vertebral column. So that's you can read about it. I like to distinguish between the segmentation of the vertebrae with the discs and the notochord. So we'll do that. Oh, I have another toy that helps me to feel the kind of pulsating movement of the notochord in myself. Okay, so let's do a little bit of that embodiment. Front body, back body, middle body. That's one exploration for you to explore on your own. We have other ones that will be more specific to the perineal body. Then we have, maybe I'll come from the side. As I move from my notochord, I'm not segmented. When I move from my vertebrae, I'm segmented. I go 1, 2, 3. I can go down vertebrae by vertebrae with the disc in between. When I put them together, I have more strength because I have bone and I have this central channel of energy. I saw Tai Chi mentioned somewhere how we have an energetic center, we have a bony center that can last, I just was reading, I don't know, 40,000 years. They found a bone, tooth, which I think came before bone, I'm not sure. Anyway, we have, that relates to gravity. Because of Zoom, you don't hear the sound. And then we have the notochord energy. All right. The perineal body. First of all, I'll just, which one first? Here's a model of the pelvic diaphragm, also called the pelvic floor. It's different layers. And the perineal body there. So that's the origin of the middle body, called the intra-embryonic mesoderm. because there's another extra embryonic mesoderm that goes around. If you have to bring me a little bit small, bring me in more, please. Thank you. That's good. That in that, where the embryo is, even when it's a disc, before it's a human form, before the intraembryonic mesoderm grows, there's an extra embryonic mesoderm, and I had a scarf to show that, and you'll have to use your imagination. So this is the energetic source of our whole mesoderm. It's incredible, the power. Very powerful. So for those of you who don't know, I brag, I'm 83. And I still have this energy here. I'm not pulling and pushing and holding out. Oh, is this there? Is that? Is that? Is this right? Where should I be? Find this center in yourself. You don't have to move, or you can move. So and the pelvic diaphragm grows around it. It gives birth, perhaps, from there. And a theme that we will carry throughout this series, for those of you who are in the last series, will be fat. Fat in the pit of the pelvis. Now, if you'll come in, Len, please. He has to read my mind after 55 years, still trying. The pit of the pelvis is here in the bottom. In the bottom. So now you can back out again so you can see more of me. This is now a pelvis that shows the flexibility between the halves of the pelvis, not the halves. This is more than 70-year practice of saying halves. These are not half of anything. They are their own bones. We don't say the half a scapula. The scapula is the base of the arms. This is the base of the legs. It comes from the lateral column on each side, along with the femur and the foreleg and the feet. It's not separate from the leg. It's the base of the leg. So I have been told, I don't know if it's true, here in America, I'm in US America, not South Canada. I was taught from the age of 16 that there's no movement at the sacroiliac joint except to hurt. And that this was half of the pelvis. But what I've learned over the 70 years, or 60, I don't know which it is that each of these pelvic bones is independently moving if we allow it to, not just to go off the sacroiliac. It can move, and that each pelvic bone, I almost said half again, comes from the lateral column of the middle body. And then the disc in the middle originates locally as they come together. And this is where the legs transfer weight. The sacroiliac, between the sacrum and the two pelvic bones, is the joint, are the joints between the spine you'll come to show this face, between the spine and the two pelvic bones. because the sacrum is part of the spine. And when it's allowed to be freely moving, the sit bones, the ischial tuberosities, will be vertical. They will be parallel to the ground. The weight won't be going through the spine. It'll be going through the sits bones. Unfortunately, and I've seen this both in Asia, Europe, and here in the Americas, that when the skeletons, you'll come close to the skeleton, please. They always have the sit bones going backward instead of vertical. So I wanted you to see that backward angle. So coming back to the side view, that this skeleton was loosely connected between the pelvic bones and the spine, that the sit bones are vertical. You can't see from the front, from this side. All right, so now we'll do some movement for that. So you have to touch yourself if you want to. The disc is here, and there's a joint there between this pelvic bone and the disc. And it's like a, let me get something else here. I don't see it immediately, so I'll forget about it. Anyway, if you go like this, if they move together, then there's no movement between them. They have to be a counter. So on this side, this leg moves in counter this pelvic bone to the pelvic pubic disc, two P words. On the other side, this pelvic bone is moving counter to the disc on this side. What I found for myself, maybe you will find, is that this leg, let me see this leg, this leg is moving counter to this, the disc on this side, but this leg is also moving on the pubic symphysis joint of this side. That will cause a sacroiliac problem. So if there's a sacroiliac problem and you don't look at the disc and the joint between the pelvic bone and the disc on this side, I can also move it from the disc. So that this becomes the support to this side. So now I am moving this leg from this side. Or I can move it from this side and then move it from this side. It's different. So the transfer of weight between the legs from this perspective is from the pubic symphysis joints. When they are free, this is secondary. I'm turning away from you, but I guess that's okay. That when I'm moving from the front, this automatically can move. Where when I move my legs from the sacroiliac, which is what we're told is the keystone in the literature. That's traditional. Then every time I move my leg, my spine, there's a tangential force through my spine. So if I move from here, then my spine is going to change. When I move from here, my spine can remain wherever I want it. So if I move this leg from this side, then I move it from the other side. You see, my spine is still okay. But if I want to take my spine, I can. So we have choice. So the keystone between the two legs is the pubic disc, and the keystone between the legs and the spine is the sacroiliac. All right. Then we're looking at the 4 quadrants that was in that picture, the drawing that I did, that you got in the mail before class, email, and the one that Christian showed. That there are, maybe show it again, Christian, that same picture that you showed before of the pelvic floor and the perineal body. So do you see the 4 quadrants? There's there are transverse muscles. They're not named on this. And then the peripheral one. Anyway, there's 4 quadrants. There's a right front, a left front, a right back, and a left back. All right, come back to me, please. So, by the way, if you're interested, the last series covered this more longer. You can move the front half here. You can move the back half, the left. It's my left side, mirroring me would be your right side. Or it can be the back, this side, and the right, this side. Or it can be these two together on this side, these two together on this side. It can be the 2 front together, the 2 back together, the 2 front together, the 2 back, the 2 front, or the diagonal. So these are things you can play with. And the perineal body is also called the central tendon of the pelvic diaphragm or pelvic floor. So wherever you're moving, that you're passing through this center, which is the perineal body. Okay, I'm going to lie down now. I thought I had cleaned it up already. I'm not sure. Always this is a question, which way do I do it? So in the last series was balancing the 2 sides of the body. We did a lot of side lying, and it's phenomenal. So lying on the side, and if you have difficulty lying on your side, then bend, put a pillow. When I first lied on my side in a movement class was with Gene Erdman back in the 60s in New York City. I was all over the place, and I was a dancer, but I had never really lied on my side. And I thought it was great. I had something to learn. It's very powerful. So there are several things to explore, and this is a lifelong practice. And I'm going to suggest the same thing if you're interested, is to take 10 minutes on each side, total of 20 minutes each day during this series, and your inner core strength will be so much greater. I project doesn't mean it's so. That's up to you. So on the side, you can feel the front body, the back body, and the middle body. You can feel open to the yoke. Oh, I didn't mention, I forgot a major thing. What did I do with the? The front body and the back body, this is the front body and the back body, give rise to what's called the yolk sac in front and the back body in the back. And where they touch, that's the front body and that's the back body. This is the yolk sac and the amniotic cavity. And in the development, the yolk sac will be brought in to the body and become the gut tube, the organs, and the amniotic cavity will go around the embryo and the fetus to form the ocean in which we swam. So there are more pictures of that in your resources. So back to sideline practice. If you can imagine a big yellow ball here and the big blue ball in the back so that it's supporting. It's supporting. Then from the perineum, the perineal body rising upward to the pituitary behind the bridge of your nose. And just rest and breathe. And one of the things we'll be exploring is that more when we get to the thoracic diaphragm, that the pelvic diaphragm on the inhale rises. So if you imagine that you have a straw and you suck up a smoothie or a milkshake, you can feel perhaps that the pelvic diaphragm, the perineal body rises. And if you blow bubbles, it activates that. We'll go more into that in later. All right, so those are some explorations. Some are just to keep falling until you can be in the fall, and that's how we improve our balance, by falling, not by holding, oh God, I can't, I'm going to fall over. Fall over. Until eventually, perhaps, this will be comfortable. I actually fall asleep now, sometimes for 2 minutes or 3. All right. I didn't say something else, so I have to get up again. Looking at the pelvic bones. I'm like a lawyer, I have this language that some of you may not have, an anatomy language. This is the pubis. This is called the pubic arch. This is, let me start, pubis. This is the ilium. The ilia, 2 of them. And this is the ischium. So we have the pubis, the ischium. Sorry. If you're new, I have trouble speaking and remembering the right words. So that's just who I am. The pubis, the ilium, and the ischium. And they come together at the hip socket. Yeah. So there's the pubic part of the hip socket. Here's the ilium part, and here's the ischium part. So this is the center of these three bones that come together and fuse. And I don't think they do that fully until we're maybe 20 or something. They're together, but they don't form the full bone. So that's where the three come together, but the pubic bone and the ischium come together through the ischiopubic ramus. I don't know, someone named it from the bottom. And in the back, the ilium and the ischium come together here, and there's the spine of the ischium. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong, this is the spine of the ischium. And that's an important attachment of the pelvic diaphragm. I won't go, that's in the muscle class if you go to that series. The ball of the femur will be here in the socket, the hip socket. All right, because we're going to be looking at this ramus. I'm just going to call it the ramus. It's the ischiopubic ramus. And from this place, because it's the attachment, strong attachment of the pelvic diaphragm, we'll move the pelvic bone. So here is the pubic ramus, ischiopubic ramus, is an upside down V. It's from the pubis to the ischium, to the sits bone. And what I'm going to suggest is that you rotate it. So my arm now is in line. I'm going to rotate it this way and that way, which is different. If I just rotate my femur in the hip socket, it looks like this. If I rotate it from the ramus, it's this. Now, if I have it bent, my knee bent, and I rotate my femur, and my pelvic bone stays where it is, it looks like this. If I move from the ramus, it's this. Is that clear enough for you to begin? And if you've never done it and you have pain in your back, then just do micro movements. But this is very amazing to relieve lower back and sacroiliac pain because it's due to imbalance at the pubic symphysis joints, creates an imbalance between the spine and the pelvic bones. And when you find your perineal body, you can feel the flow from there. So this would be my femur. This is my pelvic bone through the ramus. But then if I take it to my perineal body, it has another energy to it. It has an energy. I'm going to watch. Those of you who are new don't think I see you, but somehow I do. Not your body, but I feel the movement of the consciousness. So I feel really different on this side, and I'll have to switch to this side. But first, I want to watch. You use a tissue. Are you having fun? If not, why bother? Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm reading it now, but later I'll read it again. You can also practice on your back because you have more support. But the beauty of lying on the side is that you don't have so much support, so that your spine and your pelvic bones have a different relationship. I see Christine. Can I see everyone? Not really. I just see myself. But somehow, many years of being in the same room, not the same, we were in the same world, but we were focused in the same room. The mind of the room changed when something changed with somebody. And when there was a certain level of weight to that consciousness change, I went on to the next thing. We didn't have recordings in those days, and you couldn't go back and watch it again. So I had to be very careful or cognizant of the mind of the room, because not everybody gets everything every time. Mind of the room, ROOM. But now with the video, and because of my age, and because there's so many people who can come, who want to learn about embodiment from this viewpoint, this practice, I'm downloading as much as I can in each class. And it's too much usually for one class, but you can repeat this as many times as you want or not. So attuned to the change of the mind of the room, opened up the mind of the earth. That's really strange. Did this happen in South Africa, Sweden, Philippines, Japan, Canada, San Francisco, myself? I believed we were one people. Now I experience it because of you. And others of you have shared that. It'd be nice to share it in the chat. I might start crying. Going to the other side. So here, I don't like to do what is hurtful. I feel like this is a study of health and well-being, not of disease or trauma. we all have that, and it's very loud. But what is health? What is well-being? That's my focus. What is joy? It doesn't mean I haven't suffered, I have. But that's not what I want to study. So I'm going to initiate movement in my sacroiliac, but I'm going to support it from the movement of my pubic symphysis. So I start with the ischiopubic ramus at this pubic symphysis, and then I can move here in the back at the sacroiliac, if I get my hand out of the way, because I have the support in the front. I'm not going to show you how I can move this without the front, which I used to do, but then I thought, why am I hurting myself to show you something? It's not necessary. So I can initiate here if I've initiated here first. Now I'm going to add that energetic connection to my perineal body, and I have more energy. This didn't lift my head. The perineal body lifts me up because it sends energy through my central channel. It opens up. It's not what I want to say, but it's not. Next week, we'll be looking at the coccygeal body. That's the beginning of the spine. I include the brain with the spine. If I say central nervous system, it seems kind of intellectual, or if I say spine, and the brain is the top of the spine. So the perineal body isn't part of the spine. It's like the pelvic bones are peripheral bones that come in from the lateral columns. The vertebrae come in from the paraxial, from the inner column, and then we'll be looking at the intermediate column when we get to the gonads and the adrenals. But now, the pelvic bones, the perineal body, as soon as I said that, I got juicier energy, are creating the base, the foundation. They're not part of the spine. They're the foundational support of the spine, and they're the source of the central channel. I did see something on the screen. I'm not sure who it was. The chat's available to you afterward, and Basha will let you know that. You don't have to look at it now. And you can also don't have to look at it at all if it's disruptive. I don't know how to do that, but Basha does. I didn't know that little baby girl and that little baby boy would someday tell me what to do in a good way. All right, I want to bring one more, whatever this is, material, I don't know, theme, and that is about the fat. So I have a thing about fat now. We've been studying fat since 1982 as a semi-viscous, yummy fluid. What I discovered, I think in June of 24, is the power of it. Oh, I knew it had power. No, I always, if I just do this, now that, I'm not that strong. But if I had the power of the fat, I could lift a big guy, and I like to do it when they're around, just to show the power of the fat. What was new, I don't know it's new. That part was clear. I don't know the words, I'll have to skip that till it comes out. So here's a bowl of water balloons. Maybe then if you could come a little closer, please. So you can do this at home. Just get some balloons and fill them with water and get wet and squeeze them. Just play with, not squeeze them like this, not muscles, but to find your fat. You can squeeze your own fat in your legs and your breasts and your belly, your butt. Someone else's maybe will let you. And then bring that fat feeling, if you'll more of me, into the pit. That's what I discovered. In the pit of the pelvis. That's what's new. That it's middle body. And it spreads. It spreads in the perineal body. Adds energy. Yes, there's a clarity. And when you add that to the sideline, it's amazing. It's amazing. All right, we actually have a few minutes. I think that I've covered what I wanted to share. If there are questions, maybe one or two, I won't answer them because I don't know the answers, but I'll respond.
Sure. Okay, we do have quite a few questions that have come in. Let's see, I'm looking for. Okay, can you elaborate on how the power of the fat in the pit of the pelvis works with the perineal body, to giving us more power?
That's one of my questions. if you have to find your answer, your experience. If I move from my sense of fat in the pit of my pelvis, this is what it's like for me. You can do it with me. When I add the perineal body, there's another energy source. On the other hand, if I have my perineal body, and I add fat in the pit of my pelvis, is that helpful? Take a minute, 1 minute, lifetime, explore it. I see a question there from Lindsay. Sitting on the ball, does it help? I love sitting on the big ball. And Basha has somewhere in the resources what ball I use and how tall I am. I might be getting shorter. I never quite made the 5'4". I tried. Anyway, I like the blue ball. These balls are the only ones that used to be available, gymnastic balls. When I first found them in England, when I studied with Dr. Carl and Berta Bobath, the Bobath technique, they used the balls, and they were from Sweden originally, I think. Well, I think in Spain they made the ball. I'll go like this over anything. But it was from, I think, Swedish gymnastics originally. Now they're made many different names. I also have a red one. Yeah, and a yellow one. Okay.
Okay,
Do we have time for another one, or is this the end?
now let's take some time for another one. There are actually two I would like to pose to you. The first is, can you offer modifications for people who have different mobility, maybe different strength or stiffness? What are your thoughts about micro movements? And the second one is, how does somebody find their perineal body?
Okay, I'll take the second one. You put your hand in your own perineum there, your own pelvic floor. And you breathe there, look for some micro movement maybe. If you practice looking and opening, if you look from the front, which is a motor, the motor nerves, you'll have a reference on that, not this week, maybe next week. Is our motor nerves originate in the front body. You may not find it because you're looking motorically. Where are you? Where are you? Sensory information comes in through the back. So we open to receive the information. And interesting enough, the forebrain itself comes from the back. It's not motor. The intellect is sensory. Isn't that interesting? It has a motor response, but the information comes from the back before we have a motor response, so we can be in the present moment. If we start from the front as a motor act without taking in information, we're functioning on the past or our conception of what is now and what should be. So opening is from the back. So there's a taboo, don't touch yourself in your perineum. Let it go if you want to. If you want to hold on to it for your dignity, hold on to it. We have choice, but putting your hand, opening the back, so that your consciousness is here, not here. Not your imagination of what this is, but what is this? And allow it to come up to your brain. Then we all have different abilities. And I have shared with people who can't move at all. I had paralysis of my spine as a 4-year-old. Lost use of my right hand at 10. I'm still getting it back all these years later. The cells are alive. They're breathing. Breathe with the consciousness in those cells, not here imagining the cells. That's the first step. That's why you have all these pictures and models and whatever. There's another series, I don't remember what name I gave it, but picking up the rock, feeling the weight of it. I'll pick up the bowl, feel the weight of it. Absorb it, not here, but here. Up the back into the brain. And then set it down and leave the weight in the rock, in the bowl. And if that's somebody else's rock or bowl, don't pick it up unless they offer it to you. Thank you. This is not based on how much you can move through space, what you look like. Who is the spirit, the soul, the consciousness living in this body that will no longer be here when I'm gone? But now we are each in our body. Who lives in this space? We are not limited by the space. We're part of the whole. But we're discovering from this body conscious. I think that's it, gang. I'll see you next week. Take it, Masha.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. As Bonnie mentioned, she is offering a lot of information in class and introducing new explorations. And I'm just checking. I don't see myself on the screen. Do you see me? Or
Kristen, you can take it, Masha.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, as Bonnie mentioned, she is offering a lot of information in class and introducing new explorations. It is up to you to take the time to explore them outside of class. Your registration includes unlimited lifetime access to the class recordings. Be patient with yourself, explore and approach the material, which is you. You are the material, with curiosity. And if you're new here, it can take time. Bonnie has been exploring for over 60 years. Read through the study guide documents, take a peek at anatomical pictures in books and online, look up words you're unsure of, and join a study group. Facilitators have met specific educational and professional requirements, including graduating from school for body mind centering programs. There are currently 11 study groups available for this course. They are offered in English, Italian, and Portuguese, and one is offered in English with French translation if needed. You can find a list of study groups on the 2025 Winter Series resources page in the study group section. If you are offering a study group and are in the class today, please let people know how to connect with you in the chat as well. Thank you for a wonderful first class. A big thank you to each and every one of you for being here. Welcome back to those of you who have been with us before, and a big welcome to those of you who are joining us for the first time. We have 16 study guide documents for you. Some are already uploaded into your account. The rest I will upload after class. These documents accompany the information Bonnie presented in class, as well as additional information not presented in class. You will have a video in your account called 2025 Winter Series Slides, and it will show the colored slides that Bonnie shows in classes for easy referencing. You don't have to go back through the class recordings to find them. I will also include the supplemental slides in that video. These are slides that Bonnie does not show in class, but correspond to the illustrations in the study guide documents. So most of the study guide documents do have black and white illustrations of the colored illustrations that we show in class. Bonnie encourages you to print those up and to color in the illustrations for your own personal learning and exploration. The only drawings that are color coded are the embryological drawings, and we have a note in the colored slide video about that. All other illustrations can be colored however you'd like. I do have to read a little copyright notice about the material we share in this course. All of the illustrations and materials you receive from us are copyrighted material of Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen. No part of the documents or videos, either text or image, may be used for any purpose other than your own study of the material. You may not share them with others, post them on social media, website, blogs, or use them in your classes, or print them up and hand them out. Thank you very much for respecting Bonnie's copyright. She puts in a lot of work for these materials to hand out to you. Today's class recording will be made available through online streaming on our website. As I mentioned, your registration includes unlimited lifetime access to the recordings. You can watch them whenever you want and however many times you would like. The Zoom chat from today will be added to your accounts when the class recording is ready, and we will email you when the class recording is ready. It typically takes us 1 to 2 days to have the video ready for you. English language captions will be added to the class videos when we receive them from the captioning company. Our 2025 Winter Series resources page is a very important page for this course. It lists resources and important information for participants of this course, including how to access class recordings and study guide documents, how to join study groups, a list of a lot of free resources, and other resources that Bonnie and her team have put together for you. Most of the questions we get are answered on this page. So please take some time to read it before the next class. Registration is still open for the 2025 Winter Series, and our Pay from the Heart scholarships are still available. We will be keeping the scholarship open and are continuing to accept application. Our Pay from the Heart scholarship is something that we have been able to offer since the start of these online courses in 2020, and they offer people scholarship assistance based on what they are able to pay. Please share this information with your communities. Everyone is welcome, regardless of financial situation. If you think somebody might be interested in studying with Bonnie, share it with them just in case. Our Pay from the Heart Scholarship is a community project. We're looking at how we can all support one another as individuals and as a community. If you would like to help support the registration of those who need the scholarship to attend Bonnie's 2025 Winter Series, you can do so on the Support the Scholarship page on our website. And I'll include most of this information and a whole bunch of links for you in an email we send you after class. That is it for class 1. Please stay for a few more minutes. Christian will put some slides up on the screen with some information on it for you. It was wonderful to be with you today, and we look forward to being with you again next week on February 20th. Take care. And thank you for putting the slides up, Christian.